cogitator's panel has dozens of breakers, buttons, handles, switches, and other control mechanisms. You discover that the local data crypt with content collected by either previous operators of the machine spirit itself using your access. You study the archives stored on its cogitator. Review the supply protocol. At first glance, the records look like a typical shipping report, but after further reading, it becomes apparent that the focus here is not ore or assembly parts, but arguments extracted from the living tech priests and spent mass, the flesh of the victims killed either during or for the sake of machine ritual. View the production protocol. The log looked damaged, and the lines are uneven, and some of the values seem impossible. After a few minutes of studying the records, you feel your head begins to swim. The stored data can only be comprehended by a twisted mind touched by chaos corruption. Ascension Protocol. This record looks like a sermon of some mad chaos worshipper. The log, clearly written from someone else's words, mentions the heart that exudes virtue and the cradle that rocks the child of truth.
Let's seize the opportunity. Powers unseen uncover my path.
We've been out of the Rycat system for a while now, and my mind is still ringing with what I heard before we jumped.
My entire life was lost in the nightmare of the Immaterium in a matter of seconds. It's not something that one can comprehend and accept in such a short time.
Intriguing.
Numerous wires and pipes run to the filthy cages which are filled with what looks like a conglomeration of human bodies. You cannot make out who is in the cage, but bright blue sparks flash intermittently in the darkness, while the mass of flesh twitches and shudders. Henry cast a scrutinizing eye over the cages before withdrawing his weapon and approaching to examine what lies inside. Careful, Henrix. Look at it, Henrix gestures towards the cage closest to you. Through the metal bars you see is truly a pile of human bodies, or something that used to be. The monstrosity deformed bodies have fused together in places while others were served using saws and knives, leaving wounds seeping pus and slime. Wounds that are agglutinating and sprouting tendons. Rods connected to wires that run to a nearby cocktative bristle across the flesh. One of the human heads turns to you. Merci. Even attempting to speak causes the mutant pain, but he bears the agony and forces out the words, Mercy, make it stop. Study the mutants closely. You examine the pulsating mass of flesh. The creatures in the cage seems to be composed of several bodies joined together. You see no such sutures or any other means of which the separate parts could have been connected. Among the layers of meat you can discern large knots of muscle, various limbs, exposed bones, parts of faces, and entire heads. Only warp sorcery is capable of creating such an abomination while preserving its ability to live on. What is this? Henrik takes in his surroundings and once again fixes the attention of the content of the nearest cage. I'm beginning to have some ideas. The Lex mechanic mentioned the inhabitants of the lower levels who had been imprisoned in their homes. He said some of them were brought here. The cultists did something to those poor people in their own home, and now they are studying the results. The Lex mechanic talk about some kind of slag waste disposal and chaos symbols of the machines. One the arch-enemy minions doing in the people of the lower levels. To know the workings of dark sorcery means allowing corruption into oneself, Henrik scowls. These are Warp's mutation, no doubt. Perhaps there was some side effects on that is what they were brought here to be connected to, sensors and cogitators. Even fallen tech priests who have rejoiced the Omniscia are driven by perverted hunger for knowledge. Have you ever seen anything like this before? I've seen great deal, Rogue Trader. That includes mutation caused by the sorcery of chaos. But what frightens me most is the repulsive form, but what is hiding beneath it, Henrik frowns. A human soul in torment. Chaos never forgets to ensure its victims retain the ability to suffer. Why are they hooked up to cogitators? Henrik carefully studies the screens on the computer machines. Lingua techniques, corrupted by the scrap code, I'm sure. It's unlikely we will be able to extract anything of value from the data crypts. Thinking, Henrik clenches his fist and bites down on a knuckle, and then recoils when the mutant from the nearest cage reaches a hand out to him through the bars. You, a female face watches you from within the gloom of the cage, even though half of her head has been turned into a mess of bones and lumpen growth. Her single eye looks at you with a surprising amount of intelligence. You promised us. Her words are echoed by the other voices in the depths of the cages. Henrik leans forward the cage at sufficient distance to ensure that the mutants cannot reach them. Who are you talking to? What did they promise you? Who are they? You took us from the inferno, you promised us our reward, you. Her face contorts in a grimace and the creature's lips slick together like a melted wax. I'll be damned, they can still speak. They remember the people who did this to them. Henrik balls his fist in powerless rage. Then he frowns in thought. Perhaps a little biomancy will allow us to draw the fragments of knowledge out of them, or it will trigger further changes. Idira curses furiously. A little biomancy? This is a tangle of flesh and bone that, by some freakish miracle, still happens to have a soul and mind. Come on, Iceman, let them die in peace already. Henrik turns to Idira. You do not see his face, but you do see Idira suddenly shrinks and casts her eyes down. Kibala stares at the pile of fused flesh without blinking. I do not hear the names of the Undying One's whispers. They have become too twisted, and he no longer remembers them. These people are suffering more so than anyone anywhere, and you are refusing them deliverance. What is wrong with you? They are not people anymore. It does not matter what happens to them. Kibala turns away from the cage. If there is something that will make them talk, we must use it. Henrik nods. Yes, it's possible another person would refuse to make such a choice, but we can use the situation to help the investigation. I'm not going to argue with you. It seems to me your mind's already made up. Henrik hesitates for a moment, then closes his eyes and raises one hand. You are enveloped by an otherworldly chill. The mass of flesh in the cage suddenly rears up. The mutant wretches opens his gluted-together lips and begins wailing frantically. The shrieking is echoed by a chorus of howls and tortured moans coming from the neighboring cages. The mutant changes before your eyes. The tumors recede like an ebbing tide, revealing an emaciated female face twisted in agony. The woman gasps for air, stretches her now mobile neck, and exclaims, "Liar! You promised to kill me! You promised me deliverance! Every one of you, everyone told me you to have hope and the pain would go. Accept the truth, for that is hope. My only hope is to be freed from this pain. Please make it so. Make it." A slab of flesh behind her, a head shudders and sends out the smooth, fat tentacles that cover her wailing face and drag it into itself. You feel the pressure in your ears. From the cage you hear a steady, almost imperceptible sound that fills you with despair and horror. With a sigh, Henrik lowers his hands and looks at what the creature within the cage has become, a welty, gleaming mass of meat and gristles that no longer bears any hint of human origin, impulses vigorously. And that is the lamentations of dying people. No, not just that. What it's said about people, hope sounds like a lie of chaos which is used to take a root in weak minds. I believe the corrupted tech priests repeated this phrase like an echo of what had been installed in them. Whatever the cult of Final Door is planning, false hope is the key component of the plan. Its lead, a small one, but still a lead. That's that then. But do you know what bothers me, Rogue Trader? The number of people here. There were too few. The lower levels of similar manufacturing are inhabited by millions. What happens to the rest of them? Henrik shakes his head. I know I won't like the answer. Let go. We still haven't done what we came here to do.
Thousands and thousands of voices crying out for salvation. In hope. With wild promises. Their pain is your reward, Interrogator.
I will pretend I did not hear your last words, witch. The world will bow.
The massive cogitator grows out of the metal bulkhead like a grotesque tumor. A hollow roar sounds from the deep within the metal housing. Whatever spurred the computer into action, it has enough power to supply a small command center. As soon as your eyes fall upon a cogitator, you feel a tingling in your temples. Every nook, every component of the machine radiates a sense of wrongness, one that is difficult to explain but no less palpable for that. It is as though the construct itself defiles the law of physics and perspective. Henrik makes wearing gestures, his voice ringing slightly with tension. It threads with disquiet. Stop, Nervox. That is creation of arch-enemy. Don't go near it. You have done enough for me and my mission. Don't put yourself at risk now. As soon as Henrik takes another step forward, the cogitator emits a deafening shriek like hundreds of metal needles driving into toughened glass, as though sensing the stranger. Wincing, Henrik approaches the control panel and bends down towards the screens. Despite the heat clogging the room, you feel a nice cold breeze. Henrik is clearly using his psychic ability to try to fend off the precarious effect of the Chaos artifact. The Omniscia Grace has not touched this object. The mechanism was not desecrated but born flawed and unnatural. Iron most profane. Pascal unhurriedly produces a data slate. Initiate an observation log. Let not fear stand in the path of knowledge. Approach. Henrik is too engrossed in the examination of the control panel to stop you. You draw closer to the side section of the cogitator housing, which has several thick cables running from it. With each step forward, the flickering screen, your feelings that the cogitator is watching you with rapidly blinking eyes grow stronger and stronger. Up close, you see what, besides buttons, switches and toggles, the cogitator casting is also covered in strange writing. Study the screens. The cogitator display a wall of text on its screen. The steering of symbols is a senseless mixture of numbers, formulas, and unfamiliar characters. There seems to be no logic to it, and yet there is no doubt that the cogitator is computing calculation on a prodigious scale. Step back. You take a step back and suddenly one of the cogitator screens changes color, becoming a bright yellow. Your eyes are helplessly drawn to the bilious hue. You turn sharply away from the screen and you can almost feel invisible shackle falling away. The realization comes a moment later. You are not fighting against your own curiosity, but against someone malevolent will, which has now lost its hold on you. Keep at your distance and wait. A minute passes, then another. You watch Henrix examine the cogitator, his eyes scan the screens, his hands darting from reel to the lever, sometimes hovering uncertainly over the next switch, which immediately received a coating of frost. At some point you hear his voice, almost a whisper, barely audible above the clanging, roaring machine. Sacrifices. More and more sacrifices every minute. Henry looks at you, his eyes darken now, appearing almost black in his white face. Hatakum determines the womb of the scarce machine is down to the lower level. The auxiliary enumerator controls the system for delivering molten waste under the manufacturing main building. This cogitator is fueled by an energy harness from thousands of people who are flowing beneath our feet as slag waste as we speak. But I cannot even imagine the reason for sacrificing all those people. It's inconceivable. Now we know why Fabricator Sensor prized this monster so highly. The cursed tech priest and his associates create something that went beyond the limits of the omniscient power. This machine is designed to process myriad possibilities using warp sorcery. It has almost finished its task. It predicts the future, Nerov Vox. How is this even possible? Do not attempt to gain any insight into the essence of the machines corrupted by the archenemy, at least not if you value your soul. I have encountered the heretics' mechanical abominations before, so to truly fathom their nature is to allow a particle of death into your heart. Henrik is silent for a few moments, but the fruit they bear, no matter how abhorrent the instruments, the fruit they bear could be useful. Idira opens her mouth to speak, but then drops her gaze awkwardly. Henrik stares sternly at the cogitator screen. Yes, let allow the machine to finish its calculation. I wish to know what precisely the cult's minions were so desperate to see in the future. Perhaps if we were to increase the power, I would be finished sooner. We need to let the cogitator finish its task, otherwise thousands of people will have died for nothing. Henrix vacillates for another moment, and his hands come to rest on the cogitator switches. It will accelerate the process so that everything is over as soon as possible. The cogitator screens flash, and the guttural roar in its depths turns into frantic shrieks that seems to control the death cries of thousands. Henrik bends over the keys and flinches as if from electric shock. His head snaps back unnaturally and you see his lips moving. The cogitator lets out a roar that grows louder by the second.
Performing target selection ritual.
Emperor, give me strength. I'm afraid not. If I may. I am a navigator, not a servitor. Me? If you insist, Lord Captain.
Purpose guides me. Ruin beckons. I need no guidance. Purpose guides me.
As the tenets demand. The shadows will see it done. As honor ordains. I shall not fail.
Naturally. Let's see to it. But of course, I'm done with this one.
Henry goes back to the broken down cogitator, spends a while examining the instruments panel, and then discerns a component resembling a data crypt, which he quickly stows in the carriage belt. This is what this machine was put into operation for. Countless symbols and numbers containing knowledge of things to come. I hope my specialists will find a way to decipher the corrupted code. I hypothesize that my services will not be needed. The disappointment and resignation are clear in Pascal's voice. You are correct, Magus. I am grateful for the help, but unfortunately I must conceal the fruits of our labor from you. Hendrix glances around the hall. As you have seen, my caution is well founded. Pascal Vox lets our heavy statics laden side restriction recognized as valid. I saw something happen to you, Henrix. What happened to you when you touched the machine? Henrix shakes his head and waves away the question, his movement sharp and unnatural. We'll talk about it later, but right now, Henrix's eyes settle on you. I must thank you, Neros Vox. Without your help and cooperation, I doubt I would have reached the depths on Kievagama and learned the truth behind my agents' disappearances and reports. I would never have ended up in here, and I would never have succeeded in hampering the cult's activities. My business on Kievagama is concluded. It is time to return to mission that brought you to the industrial world. The only thing I'll ask of you is an audience when we return to the ship. Hendrix bows his head and signals that the conversation is over.
The world trembles beneath my feet. Take heed, rogue trader.
Yes.
My ascension has only just begun.
The Vizier. Would he be proud? Am I?
Embrace true power.
The machine god grants me insight. Operation successful.
I shall not be deterred. Predictable. Intriguing.
Stop. There.
Just as he ordained.
The Chaos Space Marine towers over the Tech Priest's bowed heads like a dark cliff. He's reciting a sermon, slowly, almost chanting. From the mere sounds of the deep, low voice, you break into a cold sweat and you go rises. Listen, for my words reveal to you pass from the darkness unto the primordial truth, which has thrown open its gates for wayward souls seeking deliverance from the shroud of lies and torments of enslavement. Humans have shed the bonds of the dogma that has guided you into the abyss. Accept now the hope granted to you by the greatest of the world bearers. Henrik hisses through his gritted teeth. I knew our meetings on Raycard Minories wouldn't be the last, but to run into the anathemas here, Kiavagama did not merely succumb to heresy, Vox. Your world is the clutches of the greatest evil known to the Imperium. Pascal gazes at his former brethren and whispers dryly. The new sphere signature of the defective units has been archivized. In accordance with the sacred commandments, I will tolerate no heresy and hereby sentence you to categorical disposal without redemption. Voice, that voice, have I heard it before? Oh no, it's like it drowns out all the voices. Let's leave quickly, please. The Chaos Space Marine does not seem to notice you. His gaze is focused on his flock who are hanging on every word. Those living a lie will not see the truth until they have renounced the false god. Only through your faith does the reign of those scorps worms hold, worms that devours your very body, wrecking weak souls, gnawing at your eyes and ears so that you do not turn them towards the true masters. Your words, a foundry in a realm of corpses, was given to the honor of serving as the crucible of the ongoing victory, and we, the world bearers, shall be at the tip of it, as well as those of you who can overcome the slender of the false idols. The incinerating fires of the Kiavagama will birth weapons whose advance heralds the coming of the new age, an age wreathed by the glory and representance of chaos undivided. It feels as if each of the Chaos Space Marine words, the light around you dims, something tickles your face, a thin rivulet of blood is streaming down from your nose, dripping onto your lips and chin. Registering encroachment upon sacred furnaces through both thought and action, initiating virtuous eradication procedures. Pascal's voice is a bloodthirsty growl. It sounds reminiscent of the wielding of chainswords. One of his merchandise snaps in pincers as he charges into the fray. The Chaos Space Marine rose in fury as the Tech Priest turns and charges you as if
Your existence is naught but ashes.
Surrender to the dark powers!
I'm not accustomed to being ordered around. Isn't this a job for the serfs? I am a navigator, not a servitor.
A dance of blades and shadows. As the tenants demand. As honor ordains, death is a blessing. The shadows will see it done. Come, the other side awaits. Brings me no pleasure. Trust me. As the tenants demand. They who discern the future own the battlefield. Will do. But of course. Anything else?
One step closer. Ruin beckons.
My vow is to serve. Request approved. The Honor Science comprehends all. Request approved.
The Emperor is on our side. For the throne's glory. Naturally. I won't object to it. Let's see to it. Holy terror, smite your enemies.
Yet iron knows no pain.
Step aside. The navigator is coming. Me? If you insist, Lord Captain. I'm not accustomed to being ordered around. Me? If you insist, Lord Captain.
My vow is running binary right. High momentum.
Death is a blessing. Trust me, killing brings me no pleasure. On it. What an unfortunate turn of fate.
I tread a path unexplored.
The tech priest tears himself away from reading his data slate and looks up at you. His respiratory augmenting is missing. Instead, the lower half of his face is covered in deathly pale artificial flesh. You take note of a multitude of fresh augmentings attached to his head. They seem to have been inserted haphazardly, and pus is seeping from the untreated wounds. I heard your footstep in the void. You Advon Valencius, are you not? Pascal exchanges a series of biometric signals with the tech priest before saying menacingly, initiating arrest procedure. This unit is using a fabricated identification code which constitutes a grade 4 transgression. Identify yourself. He writes, and lifeless lips stretch into a smile. My name is Dementors, a human man. I believe it is familiar to you. This statement is false. This unit stands accused of identity theft. I am guilty of many things, but not the transgression you speak of. I have stolen nothing from you, my tech comrade, unlike many others who have indeed robbed you. Smile. You are a heretic, are you not? Merely a seeker of knowledge. However, the experiments I have conducted extend far beyond the allowed limits of the ordinary trans-mechanic task with maintaining a planetary Vox array. But ever since I received that strange signal, my ears have been opened to what I have previously considered to be forbidden knowledge. Every night since then I have been tuning my Vox station to that very frequency and listening to the voices. Am I a heretic? The fabricator sensor didn't think so. He conducted inspections, but he did not prohibit my research. Later, when my mysterious visitor revealed the truth of his optics, he came to see me once more. I nurtured the scrap code for him in the depths of my mind. It lives there still, eating through my synapses and building new connections that are open to the new knowledge of change. Is freedom heresy? If so, they am heretic. The reason for your failure of this unit's operation has been established. You have fallen victim to the cognitive corruption of chaos. Your computing processes have been disturbed. You are defective. Defective? I revel in the truth. I comprehend just as the Omniscia commands. Meanwhile, your mind thrashes about within the cage of the data vows. So which one of us is defective? Why is it the name of another? Another? I have a right to bear this name. It is my humble inheritance, which I received from Akmegos Armat. To rejoice, it is to betray his ideas. The blessed Aramat taught us that the cycle must be discontinued, and it seems I have become his best student. Now I aspire to know all, comprehend all, as is the Omniscia's will. Blasphemy. Should you continue these sacrilegious mentions of sacred litanies and heretical perversions of the blessed Ammat philosophy, you will be destroyed. You wish to sound outright, but I sense your curiosity. I understand knowledge is intoxicating. This craving for new knowledge gnaws at me as well, but be patient. I am deciphering a great mystery, and my name became the start of the key. I analyzed the archives and found it places where it should not be. Humanon. I kept seeing this marker upon the traces of a great plot of the deception created by Archmagos Amarat. No sound mind is capable of such twisted cunning. But my mind was no longer sane. It could no longer stay with the narrow confines of the norm. Each new discovery loosened the imperatives of obedience and granted ever greater freedom. I avoided the traps of the main hunter who seeks to hide the truth. My words mean little. Do you want me to show you the truth? His pale lips spread into a smile. Show. The tech priest turns his data slate around. Its vivid screen is covered with green runes performing an ungodly dance of computation. Pascal casts a quick glance over the data slate and says with contempt, "Sacred logic is impaired. Your calculations are irrational, and yet are still correct." What is this mismatch of numbers? It is unholy nonsense, a betrayal of pure logic, the fruit of diseased mind that has renounced the fundamental laws. Pascal Vox is raspy, like the dry throat of an ailing man. The calculation lacks sense, they riddled with errors. They do, and they are, in this place. But there is another place where they have a right to exist, when nothing and nothing can add up to become something, where the mathematical zero can perish and decay, and infinity can measure itself. Our whale comes from Pascal Vox. The warps. You use warp technology. It is forbidden. But why? The heretic insinuating voice sounds surprisingly calm. I altered the planetary Vox array. I replaced Prometheum with fuel made from the souls of servants. The sum of all knowledge that exists in the world lies in the warp, and I'm extracting it. Do you think it's sacrilege? I think it's sacrilege not to do it. I think it's hypocrisy to reject warp technology, to betray the omniscient commandment that we are to know and comprehend all of creation. With an icy smile, the heretic hands Pascal his data slate showing the dancing blasphemous green symbols. Do you want to know everything about yourself, about me, about the maimed hunter, about Armat? Absolutely everything? Pascal mentioned right, carefully accepted the data slate, and after a brief pause, shattered it with the hydraulic nervous pincers. His voice is resolute, not at such cost. Pascal, do you have any preference regarding killing him? Pascal twitches to Technolingua, his vox erupt in a series of binary signals. There is no need for secrecy. Let him understand. The heretic nods in your direction with a smile. Pascal glances at you with worry and says in Gothic, his voice doubtful, "Following a voluntary surrender, I will be willing to commute the punishment from immediate destruction to arrest and isolation for the purposes of conducting an extensive interrogation." Does not violate the protocol or order? Indeed, tech comrade. Does it not violate a dogma of purity? Pascal says nervously, "Your possible familiarity with matters related to the fate of the Blessed Armada justify this violation." A wise decision, Pascal. The heretic, the deranged smile remains on his dead lips. Request denied, Technocomrade. You will have to pull what I know out of my dead body.
I am the harbinger of discord.
As duty demands. I am a navigator, not a servitor. Isn't this a job for the serfs?
Death comes in silence. As honor ordains, the shadows will see it done. As honor ordains. I would that I could. Trust me. What? Was that you? Or... But of course. Anything else? On it. Anything else?
Alas, no. I'll put my psychic abilities to use. For the throne's glory, the Inquisition sends their regards. Holy terror, smite your enemies!
The Omnissiah knows all, comprehends all. I venerate you, machine spirits.
But of course.
I'm not accustomed to being ordered around. Me? If you insist, Lord Captain.
Be gone!
I shall not come. The other side awaits.
Pascal stands motionlessly as he stares at the heretic corpses. After a long silence, he finally says in a hollow voice, I am taking his neural cogitator. The data contained within must be analyzed to supplement the catechism of maintenance and operation. A reasonable measure. The statement is true. The value of the data justifies the risk. Pascal leans over the corpse, activating the simpling tool on one of his merchant eyes and pulling it into the tangle of augmented covering the heretic's skull.
There is a fervor in my soul.
My frail organics require this.
The world trembles beneath my feet.
powers unseen uncover my path.
My success is an irrefutable certainty.
How fascinating. I can make it. Among the few.
Is it stuck? I think it is.
There. I tread a path unexplored.
The machine god grants me insight.
The cogitator looks dead. Only a single lit lumen shows that there is a life within the machine. Bring the electro to the scanner. Several lumens light up the panel. You hear distant clicks and the cogitator goes quiet, clearly having fulfilled its purpose.
How fascinating. A revelation was sent to me. Fate beckons me. The world will bow.
Towering furnace wreath in scarlet light fills you with awe. As you approach, the heavy thrum of ancient servo motors erupts from the machine's depths along with crackling bionic undertones. The dust-covered keys are illuminated by a faint pale glow. Saber gas supply. The long binaric thrill from the guts of the furnace triggers a wave of quick clicks coming from every direction. Disable the trap. The furnace responds with a short binary signal that awakes the mechanical rustling of unseen switches. Requires Eudora data. Rumbling builds up in the bowels of the furnace, growing stronger apace with the sound of the ancient motors. The rumble is echoed by screeching of metal gears and the clanging of unknown mechanism. Slowly, almost hesitantly, the creation of the Adeptus Mechanicus disgorges a data bank engraved with the coat of arms of Host von Valentius.
Do you see that?
Intriguing.
I see what others do not. The Vizier. Would he be proud? Am I? Just as he ordained.
Upon noticing you, Cubis Delphim straightens. You hear the clanging of groaning of metal as if the pistons and bearing in the fabricated sense of argument's body have fused together. Repellent scraps and screeching punctuate his speech. You, the probability of navigating your way, of reaching the inner line was negligible. The primordial truth guards me and my work. Then why is that the variable has yet to be eliminated? I shall venture a guess. It is because I am the illustrious rogue trade von Valencius, conqueror of Coron's Expanse, and you are the talking piece of refuse. How dare you insult me? Your insolence is an unexpected factor. No matter, the error will soon be rectified. Soon. I saw the strange construct on the lines in the manufacture room. What mad machines are you creating here? Steel creations destined to serve the designs of truth. Did you see the elegance of the form, the flawless ergonomics? And those are mere shells. True perfection fills them when they are installed with the spark of life and granted purpose, to bring them wrath upon the heads of apostates. Once this army is assembled, by why waste words? You will see yourself a modicum of the splendor that is to store for the Coron's Expanse. The fabricated sensor straightens his back and shoulders. You hear a mounting cram of its form, some powerful turbines, followed by a heavy footsteps and a grinding of metal against metal. What is that thing? The fabricated sensor lets out a brilliant shrill. Witness the weapon designed to carry the glory of the true gods into the darkness of the Coron's Expanse. My shepherd has sent me one of his iron angels, so that his very presence may instill faith and awe in the hearts of this flock. Accept the greatness of the primordial truth, united with the might of the nuclear gamma, and perish. Dominate metallic beasts. Spirit of the war, bow to my will and defend me. The words never escape your lips. The moment they touch your tongue, they scald the inside of your mouth and cause you to choke and cough. Nonetheless, the warp spirits heed your intention, and the air around you begins to pulsate with crimson flares. All the sounds in the manufacture room and momentarily silence as the seal fiend skews you with an insane and beautiful gaze, which then shifts to the fabricated sensor.
The absurdity of your struggle amuses me.
I am a navigator, not a servitor. Isn't this a job for the the navigator's might? Me? If you insist, Lord Captain. Isn't this a job for the serfs?
Is part of the trial.
A dance of blades and shadows. Aim for the heart next time. Trust me. I shall not fail. As honor ordains. Trust me.
I won't go down easy.
What? Was that you? Or... Will do. But of course. Anything else? On it! Anything else?
I won't object to it. But of course, Lord Captain.
Request approved. Function successfully terminated.
Will do.
One step closer. The ruin beckons. I will triumph.
Me? If you insist, Lord Captain. If I may. Emperor, deliver us!
My blade whispers your name. The shadows will slip down. As honor ordains.
A blood-soaked tribute.
The steel behemoth standing before you twitches every so often. Its frame emanates tainted miasmas as metal plates can barely hold the endless anathema contained within the fabricated cage. Pascal, even paler than normal, is staring at the creature with the mixture of rage and disgust. His visor flashes blue and green. A few sparks fly out of the burned circuitry beneath the monster's armor, as if Pascal's anger is settling inside on the fire. Henrik raises a hand, and the temperature around him begins to plummet. Idira shakes her head, tilts to one side as if listening to something, then shoots you a wary glance. As she meets your gaze, her expression hardens as she gives you a slight nod. I'm taking it to my ship. I will make it serve me. What? The interrogator stares at you in fury. What lunacy has gotten into your head? Pascal voice clanking like military-grade plasteel. Unacceptable sacrilege. The abomination must be eradicated. Kibla glows at the metal creature. It is the unclean beast dares to defy your command, Domin. I will cast it into oblivion, and I will swiftly sever the thread of any of your subjects who may become sullied by this corruption. The beast turns its monstrous head from the side to side as if trying to catch someone's scent. Henrik, you just investigated a corrupt cogitator and you would fault me? Even rock traders should not dabble in what we are dealing with now. His voice turns into a growl. You are putting every soul aboard your ship in grave peril. Pascal, don't want to see what this creature is made of and learn about the weaknesses that we could use in the fight against heresy. Pascal freezes while in merchandise flail back and forth. After a long pause, he utters quietly. The anathema must be equipped with a mechanism for sensation of vital functions, which is to be put under my supervision. Thence the existence can be prolonged for the duration justifiable by the sacred mission of comprehension. My decision is final. We are taking the machine on board. Henrik raises a hand, and an unseen shroud of cold instantly falls upon him. The monster hulking frame a moment ago brimming with ruinous energy now lies at your feet. I gave no order to dispose of it. Henrik's voice drops to a hiss. A rogue trader privilege have their limits, Nervox. I have the right to punish heresy, and you should be thankful that I disposed of the engine and only the engine. We are done here. It's time we pressed on.
Let's seize the opportunity.
Sharp pain pierces your head and the light dims in your eyes. You smell smoke and burning, you feel a wave of nausea, your legs buckle and your knees hit the metal floor. In that same moment, the manufacturing surrounding you disappears in a windmill of mist, ash and grey shadows. Struggling against the element, you can barely raise your head to look. Your eyes sting and burn, but through the tears you see it, a colossal silhouette rising above you. The roaring tempest is unable to shake the mighty figure. Who and what are you? The warrior in human eyes bore into you. I am the master of those who have been fallen by your hand in the halls of the primordial truth. I am Uralon the Cruel. The soul of my followers returned to the front of power they served, crying out for me to cast my gaze towards this sacrilege. And what do I see? Yet another lackey of the corpse emperor. The giant voice causes the storm raging around you to die down somewhat, as if the very sound of this voice is enough to make the world will subside. You glance at the huge warrior and notice on his chest a winding azure symbol. The shades of blue seem to glimmer and mingle together. I am sovereign of Kiavagama. This is my world, not domain of chaos. Oh, clinging to illusion will do you no good. The ritual have already been performed. The mortals are already singing the litanies of the primordial truth, or decorating the sacrificial altars with the flesh. Kiavagama, as you call it, is already saturated with the nectar of the truth, a fate that awaits all worlds that would stand in our way. Where are we? Where have you taken me? This is the bridge that connects our minds, created by the will of my slave, whose fate you should be envying. The Psyche is useful enough to me to be left alive, you less so. What do you want with me? I want to look upon the one who has disturbed my flock's duties and my master's plans. That warrior from the Legion, the fabricating Caesar. You think of the death as a triumph, however it is but a minor hindrance on our path. There are other worlds that serve our goals. There are the sources of plant steel and adamantine. Revel in your victory, it will change nothing. Nevertheless, the blood in your veins whisper to the spirits that you warrant to close a look. Yes, you are descendant of the rogue trader whose warrant Kunrad Vogtvi sought to obtain. By defiling the relic and binding it to himself with the tethers of the Empyrean, he was meant to become my servant, a rogue trader who would do the work of the truth. But then you interfered. Could it be that you wish to gain the true God's favor instead? Do you wish to present the corpse relic to me and serve the truth? Hear you very blood calling, begging you to submit to me. What would be the point of futile defiance? I am willing to give the warrant to you in exchange for the blessing of your masters. He chuckles and inclines his head. When the tide comes, I will remind you of your promise. The sinews of the fate have yet to be bound. I will not stop my servants from hunting for what which I require. If you survive, you will have earned the right to serve the truth. This isn't your first time meddling in the deeds of the world's bearers. You were there on the Rikon Minoris, and so I want to know if you hold in your hands that which is not yours to hold, and you will tell me yourself. He utters a few words in an unknown tongue over his shoulder, and you feel your head being clamped by unseen vice. The sensation is familiar, for this is not the first time the shadow of warp sorcery has fallen heavily upon you. You close your eyes and cast aside all thoughts. Your inner horrors cry out and race against the will of another. A gust of wind sweeps Urlon's figure away without trace. The mist around you begins to dissipate, revealing the dark halls of the manufacturing and leaving behind you oppressive senses of powerlessness. I sense the presence of another Psyche. Someone made contact with you mentally, then tried to harm you with a sorcery. I did what I could. I at least appear unharmed. Can you remember what you saw? He was Chaos Space Marine. One of the traitors of the Imperium. I don't think it was he who touched your mind. I wouldn't have had the strength to go up against the Psyche from the ranks of those monsters. He might have forced some mortals to do this bidding. Perhaps it was through the same helpless medium that he sensed the deaths of his henchmen. Henry looks away and frowns. Such indescribable power to have reached out to your mind at such distance. It doesn't matter. The sooner I forget about it, the better. Henrik's eyes you suspiciously, then reluctantly nods. The manufacturing around you looks the same as before the vision. Maybe the shadow have grown a little deeper, the darker. You dust yourself off and continue on your journey through the darkness. The world's industrial heart has fallen to corruption, but numerous faint Vox signals from the periphery indicates that the planet's small manufacturing clusters survive without succumbing to the heretics. The sacred mechanism and hollow lanterns from these abodes have been relatively reverently transported to the safety of the ship holds. The fate of Kevagama hangs in the balance. Restore the manufacturing using the heretic engine plans. The blast furnaces are lit again. Machine once more filled the air with screeches and squeals, and marked trains of wagons stretch in lines from the workshop to the next. But no one except the chosen are allowed into the deeper chambers of the manufacturing. This is where heretical demon engines are now being forged in blood, darkness, and secrecy.
Messiah knows all, comprehends all. I have destroyed it. This statement is true. I am yet to settle into a definitive course of action. I am running a spot diagnostic on the memory of the heretic Demens. Even though purity protocols stipulate that his blasphemous knowledge must be eradicated, I am not drawn toward forbidden information, but only to data concerning the blessed Amonats. The success has been partial. Demens Haneman's identity has been confirmed. The widespread influence of paranoid motivations is observable in his cognitive processes, which is what seems to have caused him to break his vows. However, extensive regions of his memory have been damaged by forbidden technologies and are, for now, defying decryption. An echo of the warp. Energies of the immaterium that had seeped into real space and taken the shape of a Vox signal. I have found recorded cases of similarly induced corruption in the archive. Listening to the void is a perilous occupation. The data discovered is unreadable. It is encrypted, albeit only partially, and I hypothesize that the heretic Demens was attempting to decrypt it. I will take every effort to extract a larger volume of data. Information pointing to the unit referred to as the Maimed Hunter is alleged to be of critical significance. The quest for knowledge is our mission of highest priority. But what Demens promised was not knowledge, but a distorted copy of it. This was not what the Deus Mechanicus had told us to seek. Whether knowledge can be profane is the grand question. Lay people find comfort in the delusion that knowledge is merely information. That, in and of itself, it is harmless, and only turns dangerous when it falls into the hands of the wicked. But that is not what I have seen. I have seen knowledge gnaw away at the minds of those who let it inside them. Yet I seek it regardless. Why? Perhaps because there really is no apostasy in knowledge. It is dangerous, yes, but not forbidden. For it was created by the Omnissiah. That too is true. I thirst for knowledge, and the Omnissiah has rewarded me with the gift of a mission to seek it. Perhaps it makes no difference to him whether good or ill comes of the knowledge I obtain. He merely wants me to obtain it. Response? Affirmative. May your labor...
To what do I owe this visit?
More than. The data we retrieved is already in the hands of the Inquisition, in the custody of those who can extract the secrets of the future from the claws of chaos. The sacrifices made to the Cogitator will not have been for nothing. We dealt a blow not only to the cultists, but to the archenemy itself. I cannot help but be pleased. However, there is something I must tell you. Back there, at the Cogitator, my decision to let it complete its operation allowed me to... I can't even find words, to perceive something of what is to come. You deserve to know this. The cult is threatening the worlds within your protectorate, after all. I could choose to think of it as an echo of the past, or a specter of the future, but that's not it. Warp sorcery joins stretches of time together, violating the accepted sequence and flow of events. I heard a resonance of the person behind the cult. I faced demons more than once before, but this? I couldn't have imagined such a concentration of evil and corruption. I am convinced that one of the greater demons is behind the cult of the Final Dawn. Beware the day when that demon finds a way to appear in this world. I touched the corruption of the archenemy. Did you honestly think the experience could somehow be a pleasant one? Psychers, even sanctioned ones, even those who have performed all the rituals, passed all the initiations, we are all gateways to forces hostile to humanity. I survived a difficult battle on Kiava Gamma, one that was invisible to others and potentially fatal for myself. My visit to Kiava Gamma did not produce answers to all my questions, but we did succeed in dealing a blow to the cult by destroying the Fabricator Sensor's machine. I have directed my spies to track the sect's surviving leaders. I am certain that they will have useful information for us soon. Though small, this is a victory for the Golden Throne, and I have you to thank for it. Thank you for finding the time for our conversation.
Lahab, do you have visitors in the bridge seeking an audience? Your presence is required. The High Factotum bows before you, serene deference. Your Lordship, allow me to steal a few minutes of your precious time. I came to you on behalf of your lowly devotees, who have bestowed upon me the honor of paying you tribute. Curious tales of your majesty travel far and wide, not only across the decks of the vessel, but also through the Protectorate. Your name instills enough fear and awe that people think twice before uttering it without reason, or they call you on the most desperate praise. Yes, Lord Captain, at times, your name is spoken instead of his among the commoners. Of course, there are also those who have long since honored you as a messenger of the true gods. Followers of your cult have created a relic for you, an altar that was just recently delivered to the ship. I felt compelled to ensure that no one interrupted your work and had it placed in a secret room within your chambers. Does your Lordship wish to see it? Yes. Nice. The heavy altar looks ancient and out of place in your chamber. Faint whispers surround you as you approach. Pray to the gods of the warp. Just as she places both the shards on the altar, an irresistible force pulls your hand towards them. Blood bursts forth from your palms onto the iridescent metal, and then the shards begin to dissolve, melting like snow in the sunlight. After several agonizing moments, the blood unexpectedly reverses its flow and pours back into your veins through the jagged wounds. A blinding fever consumes you. Your forehead bears with sweat, your hands tremble, and your breath grows uneven. Something alien comes to life in your mind, and you sense in turning in dualistic attention to you. Vogue, the first dawn is woven into tapestry of your fate. Haig, the second dawn, has entered the halls prepared for the coming of the age of the daybreak. The champion name is praised by the mortals as of the raising god. The ordination is complete, the vessel is blessed and ready to accept the wearer's will. Who are you?